I don't know why I did it, but you felt like doing it, you know. 'Cause we're gonna, you ever feel like a child once in a while?
Well,
How about you?
more
Have
than
you ever
once
felt
in a
like being
while,
a
but
child
yeah,
once in a
of
while?
course.
You know, just having little. Remember how
Right,
when
it does.
you did?
I have
your
grandchildren.
Yeah, you.
I act like a child all the time.
It's fun. You know what?
That's why I'm their play toy. Bubba, I'm their play toy.
And you love it.
I do.
Just like my granddaughter now 22 will be 22 in August, and I think about I missed her. Enjoy. I tell everybody, enjoy your grandchildren and your children while they are young, because when they grow up, they're gonna grow up. They're gonna be. You'll always be in contact with them. But you're not like when she was 8, 9 years old. We used to climb up Rock Redmond and would have a peanut butter and marshmallows.
Fluffernutter.
Oh yeah,
The classic.
yeah, I hated them, but I did it anyway.
Really? Oh, I love
they tell me,
Fluffernutters. All the time we had those.
and then
Oh,
of course
yeah.
we'd have to
Oh,
You know
stop.
how
it.
you know you made a fluffernutter right? When you bite into it, you got marshmallow on the side of
Yeah.
your face.
Oh, that.
That's how you know.
And then, of course, on the way back home, we'd have to buy a soda and an
Yeah,
ice cream because we watched.
I preferred my fluffernutters with a glass of milk.
And me. That's what I had, milk.
Yeah.
I
Nice
never-
glass of milk. I mean,
I'm
it was
not
just
cool
the
on-
peanut butter and the marshmallow and the white bread.
Yeah.
And if it was Wonder Bread, it's even better because it sticks to the top of your mouth. You know, I mean, it's just,
Right.
I mean,
I think you got
This is
growing
great.
up, right? Growing up in the poor section that I was growing up, we used to get that big can of government peanut butter.
yeah, the old government peanut butter.
Oh,
yeah.
the oil on top.
Poor section in New Hampshire? Come on.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We're all rich here, you know. And you have to go around and around and nothing. It took a long time. I eat peanut butter
Yeah, I'm
now,
familiar
like-
with government standard peanut
yeah,
butter.
So I know. Okay.
Me
You wanna
too,
introduce
grade D,
yourself?
but edible.
Yeah. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name's Don Bolduc, and I live in Stratham, New Hampshire, and I'm a candidate for the United States Senate 2022, running against Maggie Hassan.
Well, that's what you. Oh,
I call her Senator Maggie hasn't done anything for New Hampshire.
There you go. I love it. I love
How do you
it.
like that?
I love it. I agree
And
with it.
Don Bolduc, B-O-L-D, capital letters U-C, bold leadership for the future, because that's what we need.
What is your goal?
Say again?
If you get when you become,
Mhm.
let's know what I'm saying. When
Yes.
you become,
Right.
then so what would your priorities be?
Well, I have 3 priorities, and from there are things that that you can flesh out of it. First one is to go down there and be a meaningful promoter of economic prosperity and livelihood, right? The second is discourage, by all means necessary, fiscal irresponsibility, and then safety and security of Americans. Our national security is a disaster, both abroad and at home. We are in peril at this point. A lot of Americans aren't thinking about this, and this isn't hyperbole. I'm not in the business of creating fear and uncertainty. I'm in the business of informing and then telling people how we stay strong, how we stay independent, and how we work hard to make sure that our country remains strong and that it cannot be attacked from within and from the outside. And we're in a position right now where our borders are weak, and that causes a lot of problem. We have a lot of violence in our communities. We've removed God from the public square. We've weakened our families. Our public education system is broken and at an all-time low, and it can get lower, but it's been on the decline since 1978, and it's continued to go down in all areas: graduation, grades, standardized scores, what we're teaching, how we're teaching it. Critical race theory aside, it's all bad for our public schools. And many people are trying to opt out. That's why choice, which I support, is very, very important. We should have a choice.
Right.
But more importantly, we owe it to the majority of Americans who use our public school system to have the best school system in the world. And if you just take the fact that the United States is 38th in the world, and that there was a time when we were up here in the top 3, and Singapore was down here. Well, what changed? We changed our education system, got away from the academics, got away from the things that mattered, and Singapore adopted our old system and maintained our old system, and now they're up here and we're down here. It doesn't take a brain surgeon
Right.
to figure this out. And the biggest thing is, I'm not a career politician, so just sending me down there is going to be an improvement. I'm not special interest focused. I'm not tied to lobbyists. I won't be tied to lobbyists. I will be what you can call a free agent, working for the people, not working for the establishment. And that's why I'm a threat to the
So I
establishment.
can't buy you for like I kid around with Gary Hopper. You know, I can't buy you for a large pizza. I can't come and get you and say, "Well, I want your vote for a large." No,
No, can't buy my vote for anything.
for
right?
no lasagna or no nothing.
No lasagna, no pizza. I'm sorry. I'm not for sale. And I tell you,
Isn't that what has happened to our with the people that lobby, the lobbyists pushing for, like, we'll say the farmers lobbyists or the people from Vietnam or whatever countries. These lobbyists, don't they buy a lot of the American senators and Congress votes? Like, here, we'll give you this, we'll
it's
give
absolute.
you that.
It's absolutely what happens. I mean, I'm not against people advocating for their causes,
No.
right? And trying to make an argument, for whatever it is they believe in. Hey, that's the American way.
Yeah.
But what I am against is politicians that are on the take, right? And most politicians, this is what they do. They pat themselves on the back with this hand, and they got this hand right behind them, right? So it's like, give me some money, and this is what I'll do for you, and I'll tell everybody that I'm great. And that's what they do. The ego is high, self-service is high, self-service is high. They don't work for you. They're interested in themselves. Look, they just gave themselves a raise for all this great work they've been doing, right?
What, $2,000 a month more?
They just gave themselves a raise, right? So what are we doing here? And it's okay. People don't care about it. But I tell you who's getting hurt here. Us, people in the middle class, right?
Well, and listen,
Rich
folks,
people don't care if they
No.
have to pay more for something.
No.
And unfortunately, the poor people are, they're part of social programs. They're doing this, they're doing that. A lot of them are trying to work and punch their way through, right? But it's the middle class. It's us. I was talking to you earlier about the inflation we're having. Bologna, $4.99 a pound, up from $1.99 a pound, right? Now my grandson loves bologna, right? But $4.99 a pound, it's getting up there,
Yeah.
right? And in my opinion, that's a bunch of baloney. Right? You know what I'm
Agree with
saying?
that saying,
We gotta stop this.
Well, how about Hamburg? Used to be when you and I
Hamburger,
were growing
steak,
up.
chicken. Look at
Yeah.
chicken.
When I was growing up, if you bought hamburger or a hot dog, you were considered low class, poor class, or whatever. Now it's the most expensive going.
Right.
Chicken is out of sight.
Yes,
you
yeah.
know. And how do
Milk,
we know it's organic?
vegetables, fruit, all this stuff. The staples, you name it. The services are going down. There's less on the shelves. Why? Because they broke our supply chain, and they're happy to break our supply chain because they want inflation high. They want to make it difficult. They want us to come to them and go, oh, please, my benevolent benefactors, save me, right? They want us to be dependent on them, right? They want us to be fearful and uncertain for our future. I want the exact opposite. I want you to be strong. I want you to be independent. I want you to understand that you have this tread on me attitude that made this country great. And this country is in peril. That's not hyperbole. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
I'm not like Durka, the sky's falling. But we have some serious problems that in 2022 we need different people to tackle. And get back to God. Let's get God back into the public square. Let's get those values that we use to establish this country, that made this country look at itself from generation to generation to achieve the ultimate goal in our Constitution, which is a more perfect union. We never had a perfect union. We had a lot to work on, and we've been working on it, and we need to continue to work on it. But what we're doing is we're taking the history, we're perverting it. The people in power are using it for their own gain and benefit, to keep us fearful and uncertain, and then they put us in bins, boxes, color of our skin, what have you, and then they create divisiveness between the two so that we're too busy fighting each other and they're reaping the benefits.
Right.
And then behind our backs, giving themselves raises for all the great work they've done, let's just say since the last election.
Right.
Right? Which they haven't done good work.
No.
They've done terrible work.
Right.
And when you look at China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and how vulnerable we are there. You look at what just happened in Afghanistan, which could have been completely avoided. You look at what's happening in our southern borders, and you look at the crime in our communities and the divisiveness with law enforcement and the fact that we have leaders that don't talk about character and integrity. They don't talk about the things that people need to be reminded about day to day because they don't reflect that themselves.
Do they even know?
Right. They don't reflect that themselves.
What I have to applaud the governor, is it? Or one of the wants
What
all the Texas.
Texas
that
Governor
wants all
Abbott?
the one that wants all the Democrats arrested for
Yeah.
fleeing. I get my. Is there executive immunity so they don't have
Well,
to
look,
come
they,
back?
they went to Washington, D.C. for whatever reason is unclear to me. Then they get there, and then they what? They want donations so that they can stay there longer. They GoFundMe pages and stuff like that.
That's
Help us out.
unbelievable.
So, I don't even get that. I don't even know what that is all about.
And they won't let because of and then they won't let the congressman into the prison stuff with the
Yeah.
outside. And what are they hiding?
They're
If anybody
mistakes.
in there, huh?
They're mistakes, but you know what? It's okay to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Just own up to it and then make it right.
Yeah.
What
Nobody's
nobody's
taught as a
perfect.
child.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was told that if you're doing something wrong, my foster mother always said, if you do something wrong, be person enough to own up to it.
Exactly. Well,
Nope.
when I was a leader in the military, I didn't get credibility among the people that I led because I did everything right. I got credibility from them because I admitted when I did something wrong and then I made it right. And then they were like, I want to follow that guy. Why do I want to follow that guy? Well, because I can trust him. Because I know that if something goes wrong, he's going to own up to it. He's not going to point fingers. He's not going to go look out the window to blame somebody. He's going to look in the mirror and he's going to say, hey, I got some responsibility here. Let's make this right. And you make it right. And then people go, I like that. I like that. And then don't make the same mistake twice.
It's when you
Right?
repeatedly do it over.
That's right.
Yeah.
You repeatedly make the wrong decisions, or you make decisions and then you blame it on other people, and that just doesn't establish trust. It's not transparent, right? There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. All these things that leaders need. And everything we do in this government right now, whether it's state or federal, is transactional leadership. You give me something, I'll give you something. It's not transformational leadership where you look to make the system better. You see a problem with the system and you don't put a Band-Aid on it, you fix the system so that the processes that support that can do it better and more effectively. We don't do that. It's like Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid. I can't admit that I was wrong, that was a bad program. Band-Aid, Band-Aid, Band-Aid. And the next thing you know, we got 80 programs, none of them are working right. They're wasting billions of dollars, and it's focusing on assisting the wrong problem, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we got. And we need people to go, fresh eyes to go in there and go, only skin in the game I have is to serve others. The only skin in the game I have is to help the people in New Hampshire. And as a senator, writ large, the American people.
We are here today, folks, with Dave. How do you pronounce your last name?
Balchunis.
Balchunis, and I, Norm Mooney, and we're here with retired General Don Bolduc and Victor. Okay.
Victor, the man,
Yeah.
the,
See, I got it
the
right.
legend.
Yeah, see, I got it right.
You
this
got it
time?
right. You got it right.
Hey, that's the beginning.
Exactly.
The one thing that I do know, now, you don't have any axe to grind.
I have no axe to grind. No.
You're not going to bring a child out and say, oh, this is my child, he's handicapped, like, like what's her name, the one you're going to be running against.
Oh, who, Maggie Hassan?
Yeah.
Maggie hasn't done anything for New
right.
Hampshire?
And what she did, she brought a child.
I'm
who
not
was in
aware
a
of that.
chair. Yeah, brought a child who was handicapped in a wheelchair for publicity.
Mm.
When you use children for publicity, that's wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the problem that we have. They look for ways to exploit.
Yeah.
They don't look for ways to help, And I'm not familiar with this situation here, but I can tell you I've seen the self-promotion that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Look what I did. photo op this, photo op that, right? And you see it at the state level with the governor, and you see it with, Senator Shaheen, Senator Hassens, Representative Custer, Representative Pappas. They're all about highlighting themselves in situations in which they don't normally invest in, but they know that it will, play well on social media. But it really doesn't, because people are sick and tired now of photo ops from politicians.
I think people are getting tired of the
Right.
way. One of the things that I would like to do before November is have retired General Don Bolduc against what's her name? No,
Senator hasn't?
hasn't done anything. Okay. I think having a show and a debate on that, I think that would be cool.
I think it'd
I'm
be
open to
cool.
a debate against anybody.
What do you think?
I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine who knows a lot of questions to ask and like that.
Anyone
too.
who knows her out there, please give her a call. Tell her to
Yeah.
come on, Norm's Community Corner, and we'll have a discussion and we'll
Right.
talk.
Right.
Friendly like.
You're right. You
Right.
know, I might throw water at her.
Mm-hmm.
But that-
No,
No,
we can't do
no,
that.
we can't do
we
that.
have to be respectful,
Chief Whip.
polite. She's our United States Senator.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
we got
respect
we got to
your
take her to
office.
task
Yeah.
on what she
Right.
hasn't done
Yeah.
for New Hampshire.
You know, folks, I don't have to I don't call mine my president. I respect his office, and that's all I'm obligated to do. Okay?
Well, that's
that's what I love about America.
Well, that's America,
Yeah.
right? See, one of the things that is happening in America is that people aren't allowed to express themselves
No
the way the
longer.
First Amendment intended on us to express ourselves. Either our religious beliefs, right, or
Yeah.
our freedom of speech, right? And if, I have done nothing to anybody in the state of New Hampshire except serve my nation for 33 years, try and do the best possible job I can to ensure that everybody has the freedoms that are guaranteed in our Constitution and the values and principles that are embodied in our Declaration of Independence. That's all I've tried to do. But I get called a woman hater, a fascist, a pig, you name it, from people that don't even know who I am, don't even know what I represent, haven't even had a conversation with me, right? And I think that's terrible, because I would never do that to them, right? And so this is just wrong. And this is where we've come in our country today, and we got to reverse that trend. We have
I
to
agree.
reverse that trend.
I get so tired of, because I don't agree with them politically. I'm a bigot. I'm a racist.
Yeah.
And all these other things.
Stupid,
Stupid,
bigot,
yeah.
racist.
They can't talk to you without calling names.
Without attacking you.
Yeah. So I said to one guy, you don't know what it's like to be prejudiced against. Try being back in the 60s in my lifestyle and see what you have to go through.
Right.
Okay. And we just met a nice young man from another country. What's his name? Andrew or something like that?
I don't know. You got his card.
He's running for alderman.
Right.
He got his card.
Yeah. I don't know if his name's. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Puppy.
his name. Wait, is his name there? Hold on. Let's see.
Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony Harris.
Anthony Harris,
Yeah,
running for
hopefully,
alderman,
yeah,
Democrat
yeah.
here in
See,
Manchester.
and
And his platform is
Yeah.
he wants to serve the community.
Yeah.
And that's something that you need to
Yeah.
listen to,
Yeah.
right? Okay, he wants to serve the community. Well, let's see what's up underneath that, right? And he's going to come on your
then-
show
yeah,
and he's going to articulate
and
that,
next,
right?
And next as well, and then from 4 to 5, and then from 5 to 6, I'm going to have Elaine Monroe coming on.
Yeah,
who will be
someone
his
he's gonna run
competition.
against, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what I want.
Yeah,
I want to have honest, fearing people that really want to work for the city of Manchester
Absolutely.
and for the country, the state. Okay, I also am a firm believer in both the state senate, legislative, or the what do they call it? House of up here they call it legislators, right?
legislators.
And, the governor has a limit, two-term limit, right?
No limits in New Hampshire.
I thought the governor did.
Used to, but that went away.
Oh, did it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He's in his third
But-
term right now.
Okay, but I think that I think there should be no more than 2 terms, maybe 3 at the most,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're a state rep, whether you're a senator, because like Lou.
I agree with term limits 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, no, if the guy's doing a good job, we should leave him there. Nope, sorry.
I agree.
We need new people.
Only the president can
agree.
New
run.
people.
2 people. The president was for 2 terms, right?
President Washington put that in place for a reason, because they understood. And a lot of what they did back then has transcended time, right? Their ideas about government, their ideas about governing, their ideas about the governed. It's transcended time. It's the best of everything. They took the failures of democracy with the Greeks, and they took Locke and Hobbes and their ideas about Western European governance, and they blended it together in such a beautiful way. Not something that was perfect, because it's right in the preamble of the Constitution, to form a more perfect union over time. And that gives us the ability to be able to do the right thing for people as we move through time. And we have done that.
But
Some people have had to fight for it. We had a civil war because of it.
exactly. But if you look at the way politics are going today, what do they want? They want this country to be just what Afghanistan turned into overnight.
Mm-hmm.
No freedom of speech, no freedom of religion, nothing. And as a matter of fact, what's the first thing the Taliban started doing? Disarming its citizens.
Oh, of course. Of course, you got to take weapons away. Got to take their individual freedoms away, right? First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, right? 14th Amendment, 13th Amendment. They're going to enslave people. People
Sure
are just,
they are.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just wrong, right?
I love the way Biden only
I-
spoke for 10 minutes. I don't know if you heard his speech or not.
I did.
I heard
I
his
do.
speech. I pay attention to everything the
It
president
was
says.
a joke.
Everything the president says, I pay attention to. This was an unmitigated disaster at the highest proportions, not only by the political side of the House and the highest levels of the government. With he said the buck stops there, but also our military, our State Department. This was bad, and it was wrong.
And it's going to get worse.
And remember, there are 4 administrations that haven't done the right thing in Afghanistan. I served for all of them except for Biden, but I'm serving in a different way, outside in kind of thing, right? Trying to run for office, to get some experience in national security in there, to be able to be a productive member on the committees that matter to our national security, right? I have that experience. I have more experience than Senator Maggie Hassan does, and she's been a senator for 5 years. But look at what's happened to Homeland Security, the committee she sits on. Look what's happened to cyber, a committee she sits on. Look what happened to the supply chain, right? A committee she sits on. Look at what she stands for and votes. We are hurting all the way around. And 98% of the time, she votes with the party. Now, sometimes you're going to vote with your party. I get that. Everybody understands that. But 98% of the time, that is clearly unbalanced. And what we need is balance. And I may be a Republican, yes, and I may have my views, in the social political realm. Hey, it's no secret. I'm pro-life. I walk around with the 10-week feet on my collar. I am pro-life, but I'm not against women's rights.
No.
I am pro-life. I am for life. I want babies to live. I want life to be, from the beginning to the end. I believe healthcare exists to save lives, not take lives.
I don't want my tax. Yeah, I don't want my tax dollars killing babies.
No, I don't either. And there's no reason for it because, if Planned Parenthood wants to exist, it can exist through private donations.
Exactly.
Right? Because people are still allowed to believe what they want to believe. And in this country, that's okay. However, in 2021, I believe we should be at the point right now where there is no woman out there that's in a crisis pregnancy that would lead her to take the life of a child. We should be better than that. We should be leading them into saving that life, putting it up for adoption, right? Bringing that healthy baby into the world because there's somebody that wants that baby, that will take that baby, that will love that baby, right? And so let's do that. Same thing with our elderly. There should be no such thing as the phrase end-of-life plan as part of the medical, as part of a medical plan. Oh, you need to come up with an end-of-life plan.
Oh, yeah,
because under social medicine, that's what it is, right?
Well, when I was at the Elliott,
come on.
When I, had my surgery done, they had, do you have a living will made up and all that? I go, no, I'm not ready for one yet, Right. Well, just in case, I go, no. Do I want to be kept alive by historic means? Absolutely not. I am not going to have all these machines keeping me going. I don't believe. But isn't that my right?
It's your right.
I don't want them to take it away from me.
Yeah. The other thing, I don't believe in men participating in women's sports.
I don't either.
I think it's dumb. It's stupid. Whose idea is that?
It's ridiculous.
Right, it's ridiculous. There's no other word for it. Anyone who says they're for that, you got to look at them and go, what?
Right.
I mean, like when Victor doesn't understand something or he's trying to understand something, he turns his head. Right?
I love it.
Yeah. And he's telling you, okay, I'm not quite getting it. Right? And that's how I feel when I hear that. I'm like, no, that's not right. Using opposite sex using of the bathrooms. Now, if you want to save space and save time and all this other stuff, follow the European model. The European model, you have a door, and it's for a bathroom. Once you open that door, there are individual stalls. Men and women use the same place. They can't see each other. You don't know if there's a woman next to you or there's a man next to you. You do your business, you get out, you wash your hands, and you leave. Nobody really cares, right? That's the European way. It's not the American way. The American way is different. We have separate bathrooms for a dang reason, right? And we shouldn't be intermingling this, particularly with our children. Inside school.
That's my scary thought. Is like, if you're going to New Hampshire Mall, and folks, I'm not saying against it, so I don't want to have people come back and go to sue me or something like that. How do you know these women or these men, or when that so-called women are going in there when they're actually men looking to hurt the little girls?
Well, you don't. So we do our best inside the public to protect everybody, to protect the safety of everybody, and that's why we have things set up the way we have it set up, right? To mitigate or minimize the opportunity of somebody being exploited or assaulted, right? We do that across the board, and when we play with that, when we pervert that, change it, you're going to run into problems because it's just not the way it should be. And you're going to create opportunities that wouldn't normally exist for people that have bad intentions to do bad things, right?
How do people, you want to tell the people who you are and how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. I'm Don Bolduc, running for the United States Senate as a Republican against Maggie. Hasn't done anything for New Hampshire. That's Senator Maggie hasn't. And I'm running, and I want to serve you, and that's my only intent, is to go down there and represent you in a way that you haven't been represented. Free from the interference of special interests, free from the interference of lobbyists, where your voice matters, where you will be able to talk to me, where I will come back and talk. This is so important, right? And this is what people need to get. This is a grassroots campaign, mobilizing the people to bring back a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's been reversed, right? It's been reversed. This is top down now. They want more and more control, even at the state level. More and more control. No way. No how. You got to have people that believe in the system where the governed are the ones that make the decision, not those that govern, right? And the lines have been blurred because of COVID between executive overreach and legislative mandate, and the courts now, who have 1/3 of the responsibility, now are the final word on everything. Who says? Who says? You look at the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't give you half the. You've given yourself the authority, and people in the legislature have gone, oh, okay, we'll just do that. That'll be fine. No, that's not fine.
No.
We got to say, yeah, you're judges, yeah, but you know what? I don't agree with that, right? And the legislatures need to start doing their job and pushing back instead of accepting this, judicial decree and forcing it and say, oh, well, it's now the law of the land. Well, no, it's not the law of the land until the people vote that it's the law of the land, right? And that's the way the founding fathers set it up. They gave the judicial branch the least amount of power in the Constitution. It's a balance. However, when you look at it, it's the legislative branch. And then we use the 17th Amendment to pervert how we select senators. And so now they've gotten even further away from supporting their states because they're not picked by the states to go down there and represent them as senators. So they're not subject to recall under the authority of the state, right? Which is another balance that the 10th Amendment takes care of, right? People don't understand their rights. They have more rights and more power than the people that they elect. And they need to start understanding that and investing in candidates and people that are going to be down there that respect that know that. I put my life on the line for it for 33 and a half years. I lost 72 service members in 10 tours in Afghanistan fighting for that. It means something to me. I have seen it. I have touched it. I have felt it. I have mourned over it. I have seen what it means, right? That's the kind of people you need, not people with no experience, not people that have a legacy name, right? DonBolduc.com, www.donbolduc.com.
And you accept donations.
Yes, I have to accept donations. I don't have a political machine behind me, right? I'm not a legacy candidate name where I can pull millions out of the hat with a phone call, right? I count on the people to give me donations, to give me money.
Is your popularity from 2 years ago, was it? Is your popularity becoming increasingly bigger?
Yes, absolutely. And we only have to look at this latest poll. Now, this latest poll really didn't have much to do with me, just like the other one didn't have much to do with me, because the establishment has made up its mind that, Sununu's going to run and he's going to go against Hassan. Well, 4 months ago, they had a survey, and the conventional wisdom of all these brilliant political analysts, right? And I say that with a bit of sarcasm because I've seen this brilliance from our political analysts. Sununu was way ahead of Hassan in terms of popularity and what have you, and she was unfavorable, and Don Bolduc was in the 30 percentile, right? Well, fast forward 4 months, new poll comes out, Sununu drops, and now he's head-to-head with her. She's gone nowhere, and when you factor in the margin of error, Don Bolduc goes from 30 to 45 percentile, right?
All right.
A maximum of 10 points behind them both. I was way behind them, now I'm coming up. It's because I'm out there working hard. It's because my message of God, family, community, and country is resonating with people. They know that they can count on me. They've counted on me before, and I didn't let them down. They can count on me again, and I won't let them down. I am them. I come from this state. I love this state. I came back to this state. I am invested here. I am a middle-class guy that wants to do the right thing by everybody, right?
Now,
and people know that, and so they're investing in that message of courage, commitment, country. That's what they want to hear. That's what they want now for 2022. Not career politicians who, through legacy name or just because they've been in politics for their entire life, think they know better than us. Because let me tell you something. If you stop the clock now and you look back, it's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Do you find that a lot of the people, when they go to the polls, they either vote a straight ticket Democrat or a straight ticket Republican. Hello, welcome to Norm's Community Corner.
Hiya, Norm. Good afternoon. This is Jim Balchunis. Glad to be in touch. I'll try to be brief. I just want to go over a few, not just go over. I'm going to mention a few things, and it's for our hopefully future Senator Bolduc. And by the way, hi, Dave.
Hello.
Hi, Jim.
I just got a few things, and I'll hang up and listen. I know you're on a roll, Don, so keep it up, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's good.
Man, I'll just be as brief as I can. Hey, Don, I want to get together with you, and there are a group of people in a men's religious group that want to also meet with you, see if we can do it at the same time, but promptly. I know you're very, very, very busy, but I'd like to throw something out to you, and I'll listen to see what your responses are about this tactical abomination with this Afghan situation, also knowing how our military is being affected by the current administration and the shadow people that are behind them. And I just want to say that I'm concerned about this mandatory or this mandated vaccination in the military, that we should definitely ponder with all the incompetence going on, and that we should push self-help. But I would like to get together with you soon. I'd be more than pleased to discuss strategy with you in your purpose and your goal.
Sounds great.
I got so much on my mind.
Yeah.
So, Jim, do you have something to write with? I'll give you my direct email, and you can email me, and then I'll get something coordinated in short order.
Oh, bless you. That would be excellent.
Yep.
I do.
All right, so DCB, Delta Charlie Bravo,
Yes.
at Don, D-O-N,
Yes.
Bolduc, B-O-L-D-U-C,
LDUC. Yep.
.com.
At
Oh,
Don
sorry.
Bolduc.
DCB
Is that like a
at
.com,
donbolduc.com. You got it.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Anyway, look, I'll hang up. There's just so much I can, normally tell you I could go on forever.
Oh, I know. We know.
I could tell you that, too.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. God
Thank
bless you.
Thank you. Well,
They almost had a fist fight here between him.
Yeah.
That's his brother.
Yeah.
And I was only gone to the bathroom for a couple of minutes. I thought we was going to have a fist fight here. We were at it. Okay. So
he's got some questions.
You're right.
And let me address them real quick.
Yeah. You got 5 minutes.
Yep, I got time. So here's the deal. So Afghanistan, let's just get this out quickly. Everything that is going on in Afghanistan right now is not the fault of our service members who have worked hard and done the job that they've been asked to do, despite bad policy and strategy that has gone across 4 administrations. Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. Now, let me caveat this. President Trump wanted to do the right thing, right? He knew the military mission needed to be changed, but he wanted to do it systematically. He wanted to plan it. He wanted to ensure that what we see happening today didn't happen, right? But he ran into pushback with the Department of Defense and the folks in there who are tied to the military-industrial complex, because it's a moneymaker, right? So they don't want a lot of change there, right? They want it done the way it's being done, the way it was being done then, because, hey, the technology that's developed there, the money, the generals that go off after they retire into the military-industrial complex, big bucks. It's all tied to that, right? I'm not going to suggest that they're bad people. They're just, it's just what it is. It's an opportunity. It exists, and they're going to take it, right? But we've had bad policy and strategy from the beginning. Now, what have our service members done? They beat the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in the first rotation, right? That was the best opportunity for us to get out of there militarily, turn it over to the Afghans, We had put Hamid Karzai as the interim prime minister. He had designated all his governors, and I was watching from November of 2001 to March of 2002, them take over and do and govern and provide security the way Afghans do. Villages and districts, bottom up, right? And then all we needed to do was the international community help them out, give them some money, shore them up, make sure they didn't fail, boom. Diplomatic effort, development effort, little defense. They can defend themselves. They know how to do it. They've been doing it for a long time. Remember, they beat Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, the Brits twice, and the Russians, right? So they know how to defend themselves. We don't know that. But what did we do? In June of 2002, we decide, hey, we're going to do nation building, right? Well, nation building in Afghanistan sounds long term, probably not what we want to be doing, right? And against the recommendations of some of us, they went ahead and did it. And they brought in all that, and they said, okay, Italy, you're going to create the justice system. Okay, Germany, you're going to create the police. Okay, U.S. military, you're going to create the military. And then we're going to sprinkle, 38 other countries, and over time, get them all involved under the NATO flag. Oh, that's not going to work. So from 2003, what happened? We invaded Iraq. Ill-conceived, ill-advised, bad mistake, right? Shouldn't have done it. Everybody knows we shouldn't have done it. We knew it then, we should, and we definitely know it now, right? So that took resources away from Afghanistan. And it allowed, from 2003 to 5, the Taliban to resurge, Al-Qaeda to resurge, and from 2005 to 2010, we were fighting an insurgency that was larger, better equipped, and harder to defeat. And we weren't defeating them the right way. We weren't fighting them the right way. In comes Stanley McChrystal with a bottom-up program, right? The way we should be doing it, investing in the villages and the districts to defend themselves. Walk to work. Defend your families. Defend your village. The way they beat everybody else. And it was working. General Petraeus replaces McChrystal. General Petraeus comes in, solidifies that plan. General Allen takes over from General Petraeus, solidifies that plan. I'm on the ground. I'm commanding the troops that are responsible for this bottom-up plan, sitting in a meeting, and all of a sudden, oh, we're going to go to non-combat operations. We're going to change our strategy. And I'm sitting there starting to sweat. I'm like, no, we're not ready to do that yet. We need a couple more years to solidify this. We had reversed from 2010. We had the highest casualty rate and the worst security in the country ever. By the middle of 2013, what did we do? Reversed it. Casualty rates were low. The security for the Afghan government was about 80 to 90% of the rural area. You control Afghanistan through the rural area. Not by holding Kabul, not by holding the built-up areas, but by controlling the rural area. And we were doing it. And Al-Qaeda and the Taliban were disrupted, degraded, and neutralized, rendered ineffective. And they knew it because they were saying it. And we were intercepting their communications. We can't win with this strategy. So what did we do in 2014? Change the strategy.
Right.
Declared non-combat operations, President Obama did, and went to a top-down process. We came out of the villages. We abandoned that whole strategy, and it fell apart. Why did it fall apart? Because it wasn't ready to be transitioned. We needed a couple more years. So by 2016, we'd have probably been out of there, right? With very little. But that didn't happen. And so by 2016, a complete reversal. The Taliban was controlling the rural areas, right? The Al-Qaeda, Taliban resurged, and ISIS joined the fight. They weren't even there, but they saw an opportunity. And by 2019, our casualty rates were the highest they have ever been in the country. So, bad strategy, increased casualties, and ruined the security, and put us on this path that you see us on. Well, Who was vice president when all these bad decisions were made? Biden, right? In 2011, they made a bad decision to get out of Iraq. They went to zero there, and then 2 years later had to go back in. And then it had expanded to Syria, and the problem had increased to other places. Turkey gets involved. Russia gets involved. China gets involved. Iran gets involved. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. It was nuts.
We have to get you short because you got to leave here.
Just a moment. Just let me finish answering this question.
You give me here all my friends.
So now we have this disaster of a withdrawal that is inconceivable to me. There is nothing in history that compares to this. Malfeasance and incompetence by our military and by our political leadership, all the way at the top, right? And I wish I could say by getting rid of them, we could find better people, but the whole lot of them, because they've already put people in place that are going to replace them, and they're just like them, right? This is a huge, huge problem. And where's Congress been?
Exactly. Yeah.
They haven't been holding anybody accountable,
No.
and they're supposed to hold people accountable on our behalf.
Now that would Trump, that would be held accountable.
Now, President Trump, if he had won that election, which many of us think he did, but let's just say, he's not president. So this is what we got, right? So what the hell are we going to do now? And I was listening to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense give their briefing and talk their military vernacular and rah, 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 we're going to do this, an operational plan is this and that. They got no answers, right? This is a disaster, an unmitigated disaster that they should not allow to happen. And the idea of sitting in a meeting and going, this is a bad idea, and then letting that bad idea just happen is wrong. You have those stars for a reason. If you got to throw them on the table and go, hey, this is bad, this is wrong, you'll get support. People will come to help you, right? But, oh no, they're not going to do that because it's the next job and it's the next promotion and it's all of this. I was told that my continual pushback, and it was respectful, and I did it with facts, on changing the strategy in middle of 2013 to 14 would not be good for my career. But I didn't care. It wasn't about my career. It was about the mission. It was about doing the right thing. It was about the men and women that we are entrusted to lead. That's a huge honor. And so I didn't care, right? I didn't care. And so guess what? We're in this predicament because of bad policy across multiple administrations and a hugely bad decision now, a colossal mistake.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah. I don't know if you know about this here, but they just had breaking news, and Biden.
Right.
It was breaking news. Now, I thought of you talking about Afghanistan. He spent over a half hour just talking about getting shots. He said pretty soon when you get your double shot, you have to get your third shot. What's going to happen after that? Your fourth shot, your fifth shot, your sixth shot? So anyway, I was so mad. Instead of talking about COVID-19, which is the Chinese virus, he talked about the virus. He didn't talk about Afghanistan. All those 15,000 great trying to get out of there,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And instead of talking about all those people that are stuck there, he's talking about the virus.
Right.
So I'd like to know your opinion about what do you think about all those soldiers and civilians and all those guys that were working for the American people in Afghanistan. They're going to get their heads cut off. It's really bad. It's going to be a massacre after August 31st. So I'd just like to know your opinion. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Since the first rotation till today, I've been helping Afghans that supported us, that were either interpreters or worked for us in some capacity, to get visas to come to the United States. And it's a very difficult process, right? That process has never been fixed, except on the southern border, and that is, no border policy, no immigration policy, just let everybody in, right? But we're going to make it very difficult for people who have actually saved American lives, put skin in the game, and helped us for 20 years. Over the since I retired in 2017 till today, I must have written 45 at least memorandums to support visa applications of people. Now, today, I got 5 alone. Yesterday, I got 5. I mean, they keep coming in, right? And, you know, I'm my own secretary, so I'm trying to pump them out as fast as I can, right? But this is a disaster, and it's completely unfair to what we're doing in their plan. Shelter in place? Why? So you're not a moving target anymore and the Taliban can come and rally up? They have no idea what they're saying. They don't have any idea what it's like in Afghanistan, what it's like in those villages, how the Taliban operate, how those villages operate. Oh, yeah, just shelter in place. Oh, come to the airport, but we can't guarantee your safe passage. Well, what the hell good is that? Right?
You know, it's
You know what I mean?
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And you know what? I'm just not pointing fingers here.
No.
I know the right way to do stuff, right? I do. It's not because I know everything. It's because I got experience and knowledge and training, and I listen to the people on the ground, right? That's the key. Not the people at the top, but the people on the ground. And I'll go back there, grab a rifle, and do what I got to do and stand a post in a heartbeat. Just give me a call, and I will go help. But, you know, until then, I am going to try to educate people on what they don't know. And I guarantee you that what you've heard today, many people don't know. But I've written about it in articles. It just gets squashed. Nobody wants to talk about it. And the other thing that, you know, we owe these people. We owe them. American citizens on the ground, our allies, and Afghans that helped us that aren't American citizens, we owe them, right? And I'm glad that they're putting together operations right now to help, but let's be realistic about it. You don't have a grasp on the situation there. So don't stand in front of me at a Pentagon briefing or at a White House podium and tell me you do, because I know you don't, and so do other people. It's just wrong to mislead, and that's what they've done consistently. We have sent up reports since 2005, consistently, all the way up, on the ineffectiveness of the Afghan National Police and Afghan National Army. It should have been no surprise to General Miller, to General Milley, to the Secretary of Defense, or anyone in the White House, because they've been there before under Obama. They're just back at higher levels now with more negative effect at a higher level, and they're back there now, and they know that they're ineffective. They know they didn't have a prayer. They never won a fight against the Taliban without our help. But the Afghan local police in the villages never lost a fight, because that's how they fight. That's how they get security. And that bottom-up program was working. The top-down program doesn't work. They don't need a large army and a large police that operates at over 100% of their GDP. They can't even afford that. But they can afford Afghan local police that cost 1/8 of the price that it costs to train a policeman and a military soldier, and you get a wicked better return on your investment, right?
Well, no.
Now I know I have to go, and I hope I answered his question. We owe them, and unfortunately...
Richard Girard, I'm supposed to be on with Norm starting at 5. Could you let him know I'm running a bit late?
You just told him
we got it.
yourself.
Okay.
You're live.
But I know you have to
God
run.
bless you both.
You too.
And you.
And I was hoping
you.
that you'd have time, so we got to get you back on here, because I'm really upset with the military forcing their men to have, and women. People forget about
Nobody
the women.
has the national security experience I have.
That's
Gene
right. You opened
Shaheen,
my eyes.
or anybody that would run for office in this
You
state.
can vote for him, he's in your district.
Well, Senator.
It's
I mean,
statewide.
you're in Londonderry.
Statewide, yeah.
It's statewide.
I am going
Yeah.
to.
Oh, in this state,
Yeah, I'm running,
Once again,
that's the
real
point
quick.
to make here. In 2022, we not only need people that understand how important the economy is and how important fiscal responsibility is, and someone who lives on a budget
Yeah, wow.
and has to count their pennies like you and everybody and a lot of
Even
other
when you're
people.
buying bologna.
We know,
I
right?
can't even afford bologna anymore.
Yeah, $4.99 a pound.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just been...
I buy less coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, so I have more money to buy my grandson his bologna. So when he
There
comes
you
to
go.
visit, He's got
I
bologna.
can't support Dunkin' Donuts. to
Bologna,
begin with.
cheese, and mustard. That's
Oh,
what he likes.
that's a sandwich.
That's a sandwich.
That's a shame with a thick bologna. You know.
Right.
He likes it.
But anyway, folks, we were just had a nice hourly talk with
God bless you all.
retired General Don Bolduc, who is running for U.S. Senate. And I really, if you want to change for the better, go to your polls and vote for Don Bolduc. They
Thank you.
got great big signs, and just go to the polls. As you notice, I'll be wearing my hat. They may not let me in,
Yeah.
but that's
No, they
okay.
won't. I know, they
They
won't.
won't let me in if I go to vote.
Yeah,
I
and you
to-
have a candidate stuff on?
Yeah, I can't wear it. But yet they can wear Biden supporters.
Of course.
You know.
That's the other thing, right?
Only
We
because
can
people
no
don't know
longer
their
afford
rights.
the
Right.
double standard.
Yeah.
People don't know their rights. That's
Yeah.
what it all
That's
is.
what it's
They
all about.
Whittle
What
them
date
away.
is
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
September
Exactly.
13th.
No, not for me. I mean, I still have another year, right? September 2022 is the primary, and
Oh,
November. So,
we get a lot of time.
We got a lot
I'll
of
be getting
time.
you back on more and more. We're
That's
gonna
right.
get you
Yeah.
out there.
thank you both
All
very
right.
much.
Hey,
God
you're
bless you.
welcome.
And
Thank
you too.
you.
You have to
Thank
wear
you.
short shorts the next time.
Oh, no, I can't do that.
Can't do that. You never take me serious. 'cause that's
God
not
bless
fun.
you guys.
You too.
Tell
too.
Rich I said hello when he
I
gets
will. Yeah.
here. I might see him on the way up.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, Victor.
Come on,
There
Vic.
goes Victor.
goes.
He was really good. So he's got a whole
Fancy.
year. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
All right. So
See? Right,
learn
but
something new every day.
opened my eyes, see, about the strategy over there and from the bottom.
You and I have fun, don't we?
We lots of fun.
Whether
we
you
do.
agree with us or not,
That's right.
okay.
But boy, did he open my eyes. But that's what America needs. Somebody that will inform people of their rights. And I still say, that's one of the biggest problems today. People don't know their rights. And by not knowing their rights, these politicians are trampling all over them.
And you know what bothers me a lot too, and I see it all the time, because half the time I don't know who they are. But now people walk in and they'll, like, this is a Democratic side. I'm a Democrat, so I'm
Right,
going to
yeah.
go. Folks, don't go by the party. Even though you might register as a Republican, you might register as independent
I'm
or whatever.
independent, but
Yeah.
like I tell everybody, I'm pro-American.
Right.
Call me what you will.
Right. And there might be somebody like, I have a lot of respect for Bill Barry. He's a Democrat. I don't care. You know, I'm not going to judge him by his party. I'm not going to judge Girard
You'll
by his
still
party.
talk to him, right?
Oh, Bill and I are
Yeah.
good friends. Okay, we worked hard for the part,
yeah.
and we're not done. I thought about running against him as an only one I know that I could, and I had more fun doing this.
Right, yeah,
I
you wouldn't
won't
be
be
able
able
to
to-
do this
No.
if you ran, I
Yeah.
know.
Well, I guess I can, but I don't agree with it. But anyway, here's a list of people that are going to be coming on. I'm going to send Lisa Freeman because she's got the COVID virus all across her name, and we're going to have
got
this other
COVID?
guy.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're going to have this other guy, Harris. We're
yeah.
going to get a hold of him.
Anthony or Arthur, what's his
Right,
name?
and,
Yeah.
and then we got Elizabeth Morno, who's running for
Morrow.
Alderman at Large. Okay, for next week, and the 9-1 we got Will Hassett and Lynn Nicholson. If you're interested in the paranormal,
Oh,
okay, they'll
of
be
course I
on.
am. Yeah.
Okay. And then on the 8th, I got the people from the Mormon Church again. They were great. I gotta
I
tell
di-
you,
I didn't
I had a lot
get
of
a chance
And
to
then we got my friend Tony Williams coming on 9:15, and another lady Irene who does arts history work.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I want to be diversified. And of course, I don't know if you know her. Who is Steve Taylor? She's coming on 9:22 with her boyfriend.
Oh, with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, then.
And you're
Just
welcome.
leave-
Come on, yeah.
But, yeah.
And I invited Travis, but he declined. Not breaking my heart.
Nah,
I thought he was pretty rude to me in many ways. I'm not going
Yeah.
to invite him again.
I wouldn't
You
either.
know. Then we get Michelle,
The Damo.
yeah, and they run a health holistic center in Salem. She was
Oh.
on before. Excellent, excellent.
Well, we had. Wait, one was up in Portsmouth.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay,
she was
yeah.
very interesting.
Then I got Dr. Jody coming on 10-6 for, she's an herbalist, a natural.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's a lot like her. And then I have her nephew, Brian. Oh, he tells it. He's like you and
Oh,
I.
is he? Oh, good, yeah.
Okay, he's really cool. Then I have my friend Richard Carter coming on.
I don't know who
His
that
girlfriend, his friend that used to come on with him, is a born again Christian, so she has
is. She over the top?
Yeah,
Yeah, some
no
of them.
old age for her. I won't read you, you won't read me. And you know what? That's okay.
Right.
I'm going to respect that,
Yeah.
you know. And then we got Ken
Gidge.
He's from Nashville. He's had a really strong Democrat. Believe me when I say
Really?
that. Oh, yeah, so he'll be. Then we have my Sarah Beth Beaudry. She is the leader of the In Town Manchester, who gets a lot of flack from a lot of people. So I
What is
definitely.
that?
Huh?
In town.
In Town Manchester is then supported by the people to help improve, like organization, having a maybe putting on an event at the park or like that. And she'll be here, so people want to listen. So right now, right up until November, I think I got people coming in November too.
Whoa.
So I'm going to keep my busy, And I have so much fun doing this. And I can see
That
you
is.
enjoy coming
I
in.
do, very much.
But for Halloween, I'm going to have Dave here dressed in drag. What do you think, folks?
I never have. I might give it a go if we can come up with something
I
good.
did it. I do it.
I've never done it, but hey,
I'm
open to adventure.
Right. I wore a long wig. I wore my makeup, and I wore all this stuff. I had a the priest collar here with a big cross. Oh yeah, and people. Then the next week, I went down and I dressed like a clown, and I went to the park.
Wow,
And
yeah.
the kids, I said, "Give me your candy now." No, I want your candy. No, they said, they loved it. You and I are people lovers.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm all about. I love people.
So do I.
And I love and I get so tired of being called because I don't agree with them.
Oh.
I'm a racist, I'm a bigot, a prejudice,
Right,
you
yeah.
name it. And
Exactly. A fascist and
they
a
call me
neo-Nazi.
and
Just
we're
because
not
we're
good
pro-Americans and
spiritual- right.
friendly and outgoing.
Right. And I'll continue to be who I am. My very dear friend and I, she's going to come in. We're going to do a Facebook show. She's Afro-American. And you know what?
Oh, really?
And I hate using that term because we're all Americans. I
That's
don't
right.
care. And she's
Yeah.
going to let people know that I'm not a racist.
Good.
Well, if I went, like this gentleman that was here, we met in the wedding
Right.
room there, And
Well, that's what gets me. If we were racist, we wouldn't even talk to the person. That's they're so full of it, but they're so used to, as he was talking, from the top down. They're people at the top. It's divide and conquer. So they've divided us, but still, it's still not enough to conquer. So now what are they doing? Now they're micro dividing. That's why they're doing the guys playing women's sports, which is totally
I think
ridiculous.
that is so wrong.
And what do they call it? Binary. I'm binary. I don't have a sex. I'm another one.
Or an
It's-
asex or
Excuse
an
me. You're
yeah.
either male. I don't care. You're male or you're female.
Then,
Okay.
if you follow the Bible, whether you're Catholic, whether you're Christian, God say He made us in His image.
That's right.
I am who I am. I would never think of doing, shade.
Me either.
And what people don't realize when they do that sex shade, they have to be on the hormone for the rest of their life.
That's right. Oh, where I bartend. It's a quick story. I knew it right away. The buzzer rings. I let them in, and so it was a her, but it was really a him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Platinum blonde, right? I give him credit. What cleavage and what boobs, right? I'm gonna say about my age. I couldn't believe it, but comes in sashaying, with the big purse and the 20 bracelets and the big, the hookah earrings and stuff, and then, hi, how are you?
Oh, I love it when they do that.
Oh.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I
You're only
remember
6
you.
minutes away.
How
Right?
are you? Nice to see
We
you.
are here
again.
with
Sorry to be
Richard
late.
Girard, who is running for candidate for mayor of Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing in the polls?
Well, it all depends on what poll you're looking at.
The
In
best
mine, I'm
one.
doing great.
All right. That's the one that counts.
Well,
I'm
you know-
the air and neutral.
On the air, you're neutral. Yes. Well, you know, funny thing about polls. When I put together an exploratory website, and on that website, we asked a bunch of questions. You know, we asked people what they thought the top issues were. We asked them to rate the city's performance on the issues. Then we asked them, you know, favorable, unfavorable, no opinion on Mayor Craig and on myself. And if the election were held today, who would you vote for? Now, it was my website, so it's probably fair to assume that.
A little biased.
Well, yeah, but you know, but we really tried.
Yeah.
The Union Leader did a story on it. The Inkling did a story on it. It
Really?
got put on probably
The
60.
union leader?
I know.
The useless leader? I never found myself shocked by that.
Yeah, I wish they would do a little more covering the campaign than they have. But, you know, it hit 60 or 70 different Facebook pages and not all, you know, Republican pages. So it got out there, and I got over 400 pages of feedback.
Oh, wow.
Just to give you an idea. And the interesting thing was 88% of the people who went to my website said they knew of me. And of those, 52% had a favorable opinion. 26% had an unfavorable opinion, and the rest, believe it or not, folks, had an no opinion of Rich Girard, which is like, usually I don't get that. But Joyce, her unfavorable was 62%.
Oh, wow.
Does she deserve re-election? 63% said no.
Wow, good.
And if the election were held, quote, today, I got 44%, Joyce got 26%, and there were two other categories. There was other, and I think other got 11, and then undecided got the rest of it. So, yeah, so you asked about polls. It's the only poll I know of.
Hey,
Yeah,
good
know
for
what?
you. That's
I
good.
love the picture of Joyce do nothing.
Yeah.
Craig. Riding on a scooter.
Oh, you know what? You know, honestly, the first thing I thought of when I saw that, remember when Michael Dukakis came out with the, you know, in the tank with that stupid hat on?
I do
and
remember that.
That pretty much
Yes,
did him
I-
in there. So,
it
and
did.
I
I
saw
do
it like,
remember that.
and you know, honestly, I don't know how I feel about those scooters, but I don't think that they the scooters, the bike lanes, things like that. I don't see those as pressing issues regarding the future of the city.
They're not.
They
are not.
You know, and given the fact that we already have a problem with bicycles on the sidewalks, not in the bike lanes. Now, I live just a couple blocks away from Maple Street, where they put in the bike lanes. True story. I have still, and all the time that bike lane has been there, not seen one person in that bike lane.
Believe it.
And I go through there all the time. I've seen two bicycles on Maple Street. Both of them were on the sidewalk on the opposite side of the street. The only thing I have seen in the bike lane, I saw this a couple weeks ago, and I thought the woman had a death wish. A jogger jogging in, like nothing was going on around her, and she almost got wiped out by a car that was turning left onto Orange, turning right onto Orange Street, because she was totally clueless, right through the bike lane.
Probably from Cambridge.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but okay.
How do we make I don't want to be insulting, but Joyce, the questionable mayor, I'll put it that way, how's that? Be accountable for that 47 million or 40 to help the homeless people. How do we make her accountable to that?
Well, you know, I think that's what elections are for, and it's up to me to make the case that different things could be done. Look, I think the homeless problem we have here is misunderstood, and I think it's misunderstood because it's easier for politicians to perpetuate a misunderstanding and make it look like they're helpless. So people routinely, and both of my opponents in the race are doing this, are making this about affordable housing. It is not an affordable housing issue. The people on the streets, God bless them, and I mean that sincerely, 90 to 95% of them are either drug addicted or mentally ill or both.
Right.
And, you know, I'm going to share a little personal story here because I have a brother-in-law who for some 20 years now, 15, 20 years, has been homeless on the streets of Boston and on New York and in Los Angeles and he struggles with alcoholism. He has gotten into other drugs, and he very definitely has mental illness issues. And so what you learn when you have to deal with that on a first-hand basis like that is First off, they always blame the shelters. Oh, the shelters aren't clean, the shelters aren't safe, the shelters aren't... No, the shelters have rules, and the rules say you have to behave yourself when you're with other people. And oh, by the way, you can't snort your Coke, you can't drink your beer, you can't shoot your heroin. You can't do that. So anyone who runs around and says the shelters are a problem, and I've toured New Horizons. Now, granted, it's been a while, but I've toured New Horizons. I understand. There's nothing wrong with that facility. And they put a stupid amount of money into trying to make it some kind of like a hotel. So it's only gone from, good to better. But the reality of the situation is you can give these people house. My brother-in-law, he had a place at the Y in Boston for $25 a month.
Wow.
Screwed that
What a
up.
deal.
And this was back when he
Wow.
was working. And not for nothing, people talk about, well, you know what a lot of these outreach teams do? They sign them up for state benefits. So they're getting food stamps, they're getting they're getting Medicaid, they're getting whatever cash benefits and stuff that that are available to them.
Right, EBT
so
cards,
yeah, they don't need
work.
to really be standing out there panhandling because hell, they're making as much money as anybody watching us right now through all the state benefits. So, but he's been given, I can't tell you how many free hotel rooms, but eventually he breaks the rules and he gets tossed. Okay, so it's not a housing issue. We have to deal with the reality. And I'm okay with the outreach teams. I'm okay with them saying, hey, listen, we can get you into a shelter, we can get you treatment, we can get you into rehab. But we need to add police to the outreach teams because the police need to be there to say, we can't be all carrot and no stick. The police need to be there to say, and you really should consider taking this assistance because we are now, as a city, enforcing our ordinances. We are enforcing the state laws against trespassing and all the other behavior that you're engaged in that if you are a regular citizen, not a homeless one, you would be cited for and hauled to court for. Okay, and in some instances, many instances, put in jail for. And so the message of law enforcement needs to back up the carrot, right? So you don't have to take the help, but you can't stay here. You're not pitching a tent. You're not unrolling your sleeping bag. You're not leaving all your crap, in the doorway, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that will encourage some people to do one of two things. They're either going to move on or they're going to get help. Now, the only time my brother-in-law really is sort of normal, as you would consider a human being, is, and I don't mean that to be,
No, I know. I talked to a lot
is
of
when
them.
he's in jail. And he ends up there on occasion. He gets into a fight, a knife fight, or what. There he takes his medication. He doesn't do the drugs. He doesn't drink. He goes to his AA sessions. He does all the things that he should do. And right around the time he starts to become a normal functioning human being, he gets released out on the street because, prison is not a rehab place, but prison can be a start. And I think one of the failures of the system is that there's nothing for somebody like him when he gets to the outside to be able to continue with the recovery, right? And I think that's an area we need to look at and focus on. And I'd have to go back and watch it, but I recommend
What about halfway houses? Aren't those sort of...
if they get released to them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
that's
but
true,
we just
yeah.
had an incident here in Manchester where somebody walked away from a halfway house, the Calumet House on Lowell Street, and robbed a bank.
Yeah.
So they're not
But they
perfect
don't want to
either.
get out.
Right.
That's really...
But and I'd have to rewatch it. But Rhode Island has put into place a plan, and I saw it, and I recommend everybody watch this because Manchester and New Hampshire are heading down this road. The documentary is called "Seattle is Dying," and you can find it on YouTube. It is horrifying, but it foreshadows our future. Because there are other things that we need to do to clean this up, right? It's not just that the city isn't enforcing its ordinances or the state laws. It's that the state, honestly, has done some dumb things. This catch and release bail thing, a nightmare. These people are out on the street, again, before the cops even finish writing the reports. And Dennis Hogan, the former county attorney for Hillsborough County, wrote a brilliant op-ed piece, which you can find under my, I linked to it at my, at gerardformayor.com, under my plan for cracking down on homeless vagrancy. I recommend you read it. But Dennis, pointed out, he said, part of your homeless problem is that these people don't end up in jail anymore at all. Because at least when they go to the prison, they get medical screening, they get medical care, if they need medication, if they need treatment, if they, so they can get started. And he said a lot of people, when they get started on that after being tossed in the clink, continue with their recovery. Now that touch of the system isn't even there. There have been, I think, 4 bills to change the catch and release bail system that we have. And Mayor Craig, who on occasion has paid lip service to what a problem it's created here in the city, has failed to testify on any of those 4 bills. Totally failed. Totally failed, including a bill co-sponsored by Barbara Shaw, Democrat from Ward 9, and Larry Gagne, Republican from Ward 6. Pretty simple bill. It would have fixed our problem. And nothing. The cops, I've met with the police chief. I've met with the police union. What do they say? Well, we write the tickets, but they just tear them up because they know the court's not going to do anything. I said, good, write them a ticket for littering, and keep writing them a ticket for their behavior until it becomes disorderly conduct, and then slap some cuffs on them. But if the courts really aren't doing their job, my answer is, well, great. Flood them with tickets, and I will stand on the courthouse steps every damn day demanding that the judges in the district court do their job and take these citations seriously, because they're designed to correct some real quality of life problems that we have in the city. And if the judges still don't do that, then I'll have the police officers take some of these vagrants, put them in their cruisers, and dump them in the neighborhoods where these judges live in the city. And let them deal with it so they understand. Say, hey, there's some woods behind that house there. Go pitch a tent. We're good with you being over there.
Let's go on Mayor Craig's lawn. But
Yeah.
anyway, I always find this interesting when the political turn comes out. Like,
Yeah.
she makes a big deal out of the homeless and
Yeah.
out of the attic.
Yeah.
Then you don't hear from her because she's hiding in her probably re-renovated cellar or whatever.
She's in Biden's basement. Don't we wish
Right,
we were all
there
back
you
in
go.
there, right?
Yeah. Remember when she and her daughter had the virus there?
The COVID,
She
sure.
did- And they walked up and down the streets like it's no big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
And then she's making the comments, put the handcuffs on softly.
Yeah.
Now, do we give him a teddy bear too and put him in a...
Well, but and it's just what I don't understand about the mayor. And, part of me thinks that she's trying her best, but part of me thinks that she also doesn't have the courage of her convictions. In her, I see someone who is conflicted. I see someone whose instinct is different than her ultimate position. For example, I will bet that she didn't testify on the catch and release bill because the ACLU, which is a major, is a major backer of hers, or people who back back her, they're all for this crazy system, right? So, but here's Mayor Craig, right? Do we all remember how she screamed bloody murder at the governor and the state for their failure to clear the homeless camp around the courthouse?
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah, and she bought the
Okay,
blankets.
so now, after months of complaining that the state isn't doing anything to take care of the problem, the governor comes out and says, it's going to be done next week. Wah! She lost her mind. She accused him of being inhumane. She opposed the removal. I mean, she practically chained herself to the fence with all the other protesters, to do it. Okay? So on one hand, she's demanding it be done. Then the governor announces it's going to be done. And by the way, almost every single one of them, they found a placement for in a recovery facility, right? That's what they said took so long. They were trying to find places to put all these people. And then she opposes it. But, not a couple months later, right, we had 10 propane tanks explode at the homeless camp underneath the off-ramp to the Amoskeag Bridge.
Oh.
Remember that? Yeah, that happened. That's one of those deals, Fire Chief Dan Goonan. Well, he's not going to take away anybody's source of heat during the winter. That would be inhumane. This is the same guy who wants everybody, and the mayor too, right? Well, we want them to go to shelters, but we'll give them tents. We'll let them use these propane heaters. We'll deliver food, blankets, sleeping bags, anything you need to stay comfortable where we are, we'll let you do. Well, 10 of those things explode because, and by the way, that's not the first time. One exploded at the camp behind Motorcycles of Manchester, right? Remember that? Killed a guy.
Yeah.
Poor, you would think the city would have learned that they were a hazard and shouldn't be, used in those camps after the guy got killed, but no. So 10 of them explode, and suddenly the guy who couldn't sleep at night, if he, took away their only source of heat, couldn't sleep at night if he didn't shut down the camp. So the mayor, who complained that the state took like 3 months to clear that camp, ordered the clearing of the one underneath the bridge in 17 hours. So I don't get the inconsistency, and I think really the inconsistency in how she has approached these issues is one of the reasons why they've gotten progressively worse, because there is no clear direction from City Hall, from the mayor, and when the direction has been clear, it's been in the wrong direction, facilitating all of this stuff.
I can remember when they were, and then come find out it was the B&M, the railroad property, and she went down illegally, I might add, and everybody said, oh, they were notified. No, they weren't. I know some people who lived down there, and she tore that. She had them bulldoze that whole. They had no. They couldn't get their personal belongings, but yet, and also a lot of things. We cannot force these homeless people into shelters. We cannot force them.
No, we can't. But we don't have to let them stay where they are illegally.
No,
camped.
and I agree. But a lot of them, I talk with a lot of the homeless people, and they don't want to be in a house. I'm not.
No, so they're making a choice. Whether and I would dispute whether or not they're in their right mind to make it.
Right.
Okay, but they're making a choice to not go into a facility, which is fine, except that their choice is not my or the city's obligation to allow them to do whatever it is they want because it's their choice, right? So go deep into the woods of Goffstown, go up Mount Kanunnik, go hang out with what's his name there, Woodland Dave.
Guy.
Poor guy.
Oh, by the way, Al said hi to you.
Caprillion?
Yeah.
Oh, good. What'd you see, Al?
He's one of my best friends.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We talk to every Sunday at 7:30 and every Wednesday at 7:30.
Well, you gotta say hi to Al. Al is a dear man.
Next time I get him to come on the show, I'll have you come on and say hi to him.
That'd be great.
You would love Al.
I would.
Caprillion, he's the best.
But I've had actually 4 different homeless people stay at my house years ago. And one of them, I'm going to always remember, he didn't stay in the mansion, but he loved laying by the railroad track, listening to the train, or taking the daring when he's going to make it or not, And my nephew actually got ran over by a train because he was homeless and he probably messed up on drugs or whatever. So I can understand where you're coming from about your brother-in-law. And if they want, there's plenty of help there if they want it.
If they want it. But, I think something the state really needs to do is take a look at its involuntary committal laws. I mean, I've spoken with families who have got kids who are or members of their family who are homeless here in the city, and they've said they can come live with us, but they can't do the drugs, or they have to get their treatment. It could be mental health, but they don't want to do it. And that gets me to a point. The state's involuntary committal laws are part of the problem here. I'm sorry. At some point, you have to conclude that people who are suffering with mental illness or who are terribly drug addicted are not capable of making rational decisions. And the state's involuntary committal laws ought to give families the power to go to a judge and get their loved one committed in the hopes of getting them treatment. Now, like you said, you can't really force people to want treatment. But, somewhere in there, I don't know where that line is, but there needs to be a discussion about where that line is, because without it, it creates this problem of, where do they go? Where do they stay? We have to honor this. And this is, this is largely because the ACLU, in lawsuits that it's filed over the years, which is why Joyce Craig doesn't dare do anything of substance on this issue. Now, you want to really solve the homeless problem, right? If you're in a boat and it's leaking water, right? Do you bail the boat out without blocking the hole? Or at best, do you try to block the hole while bailing the boat out? And if you had to pick one or the other, wouldn't the first thing you do be to block the leak? Right, yeah. Okay, so we're not blocking the leak. We're still running Safe Station. We're letting all of these illegally operating sober businesses invade neighborhoods all over the city, not just mine, for those of you who like to think this is a NIMBY thing. And not for nothing, there's a potential sober home moving in at the corner of Bridge
Right.
and Beach Street, right?
I
gonna
have noticed paper that.
Well, here's the thing. We do need these facilities, and if they're run properly, they're good facilities. To me, one of the keys of whether or not they're going to be run properly is, are the property owners, first of all, looking to locate in an area that allows the use? Now, this one at the corner of Bridge and Beach is in a zone where the use is allowed. Okay, so the zoning permits it there. The zoning doesn't permit it in all these other ones that are running around the city, and there's a reason for that. So, are they going through the proper process? Are they going to the planning board? Are they going to submit their plans? Are they going to put themselves before the regulatory authorities? Are they going to meet with the neighbors? Are they going to do these things? If they do these things, Liberty House came into my neighborhood. A block and a half from my house is Liberty House.
Oh, really? Oh, they moved?
Yeah, they're on Orange Street, right
Oh,
across from
really?
Mount Carmel, right across from the Mount Carmel nursing home.
Oh, really? Because I remember when they went first. I first was
Yeah,
one of the
Bakersfield.
ones. Yeah. I was one of the first ones to
Yeah.
help cut the ribbon.
Yeah,
And you know what the funny part?
John Duhamel.
Right.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, God
Yeah.
rest his soul.
Right. And you know, the funny part was the congressman came, the governor came,
Yeah.
not one person from the city political office came to the open house.
Really?
Not one.
That's a shame.
And I dare you to tell me I'm lying because I was there, people. I saw it all.
Okay. So Liberty House, again, for these people who like to scream the neighbors are NIMBYs, and for those of you who don't know what NIMBY means, it is not in my backyard. The neighbors are all for it as long as it doesn't affect them. That's not the case here, right? So a block and a half from my house is Liberty House. And Liberty House, that area, properly zoned. They can be there by right. They contacted the alderman. They had a meeting with the neighborhood. They went through the planning board. They did all kinds of things they didn't even need to do just to be good neighbors. Yeah. Okay? So, and Bridge and Beach, the zoning permits it.
Thank you.
So it legally can be there. And, from what I read in the paper, they're following the city's regulatory process. Okay, great. Now, the one concern I do have about it being there is this. Because the planning board has given permission to a number of these facilities in that same general area, right? So there are 3 zones in the city where they're allowed by right, and there are 5 zones in the city where they're allowed with what's called a conditional use permit by the planning board. Several, like more than half a dozen, have opened within probably 5 blocks of that area. So at some point you have to worry about something called clustering, because if you have too many of these things in an area, it is a known, and even the operators admit this, it is a known problem for the neighborhood. That becomes a magnet for drug dealers. And just the 2 that I had in my neighborhood, across the street and around the corner, I can't tell you what it's done to the neighborhood and what it's brought in and how difficult it's been to live with.
They have one.
All reports by the people who run those things to the contrary.
Right. They have a sobriety house for women over on 4th Street.
On what street? 4th
4th,
Street?
yeah.
Yes.
Right about, and it used to be the more home for the mentally challenged.
Yeah.
People, because I was one of the first ones to open up the house on 4th Street. And then about a year and a half ago, when I was in shock, I said, "Who do you have in there now?" "Oh, we're a sober house for women." But you know what? Like you just said, they are respectful of the property.
Yeah, I think Catholic Charities is involved in that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are respectful of the property. They do. In fact, they still got my old bicycle that I had here like 20 years ago. I said, "Get rid of it." She said, "Can I have it?" I said, "Whatever." Here I am, terrified, pedaling down Elm Street on a bicycle. So terrified. And I said, "That's it." But I forgot. I left it there. But as long as it isn't a burden to the taxpayer, I have no problem.
Right. Well, and that's the other problem. You talk about, we need to get these people off the streets, et cetera, and we do. But, the information that we have collected, and I say me, my neighbors and me, as we've fought these things and pushed the city's regulatory agencies to do their job, another failing of the mayors, not getting allowing the fire chief and the planning director and all these people to not actually enforce the ordinances as if it was okay. And these are life safety codes. I mean, people in recovery, what, they deserve a lower standard of safety in the buildings they're in than everybody else? I mean, think about that for a minute, right? They probably have a greater need for the safety codes than anybody else because of their condition. But so anyway, in the process of going through that paperwork, you know what we discovered about these sober homes, the illegally operating ones anyway? 2 out of every 3 of them aren't even from the city.
No.
So, I mean, why am I worried about picking up people off of the streets of Rochester, Lawrence, Rutland, Vermont, Bangor, Maine, and all these other places that they come from, Wolfboro, Meredith, Nashua? Okay, it'd be one thing if they were actually, and they admit, right? One of my neighbors saw their stuff online and called them and said, "Why are you advertising, to people out of state to come to these things?" They said, "Oh, because there aren't enough addicts in Manchester for our operation." So, yeah, we need these things, but Manchester, so between safe stations and all, these illegally operating
Is the
sober
safe station
facilities.
still open?
Yeah, they're still running. I just got a report on them today. I was looking at the numbers and I went, it's like, wow. But between all of these things, we're importing people that are very likely to end up on the streets, homeless, committing crimes, otherwise, and creating these problems. So, yeah, we need to crack down on the camps. We need to do things differently than we're doing them now. But we also need to. We're bailing out the boat while it's filling up with water. We need to block the hole.
I actually can say that I was very fortunate. I didn't live at the shelter, but I gotta tell you, they had some damn good meals in there. I don't know if you ever did volunteer work in there.
I have volunteered over my lifetime on a handful of occasions, but they've gotten away from serving meals to people at New Horizons. They will only serve a hot meal to people who stay in the shelter. Other people who used to run the community who used to go there for their for their hot meal a day or whatnot. If they're not shelter residents, they no longer do it. They give them a quote grab and go bag.
Oh wow!
So they stopped serving members of the community.
Is that because of COVID?
No, I think they did it strategically. I think this was a strategic thing. They're saying they're trying to provide greater food choice options to the people who come there but don't stay in the shelter. Right. I mean, I would understand it a little better if they said, well, what we're really trying to do is encourage people to get into the shelter. Yeah. Now, that would make some sense to me, but that was not what I read in the newspaper.
The last time I went there, I'll never forget, I was lucky I got a home and I got a job, and people can improve their life if they want to.
Sure.
And I'll never forget it. There's one guy had too much to drink, and he went over to the trash bucket and vomited. I said, that's it. But, I mean, Thanksgiving was fantastic. They went all out, and they had a volunteer. Yeah. You had coffee, you had dessert, you had a salad, and you had... I can't afford sirloin steak tips. Can you? Very often, I mean, they had top primo food there.
Yeah.
And to hear people that would go there to eat and would complain about it, I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, I don't get that either. But that brings up something else too. I mean, Manchester, within a 3 or 4 block radius around Victory Park, there are over 40 different social service agencies headquartered there. Wow. So it's God bless them for the work that they do. But some of them, in thinking they're helping, are really enabling. And I think one of the things that needs to happen is there needs to be an accounting of who is doing what. And, as mayor, if there are organizations out there that are doing things that are enabling and perpetuating the problem rather than acting in concert with the answers that the city has to correct the problem, you can guarantee that if they're getting funding from the city, there's going to be a little come to Jesus moment with them where they're either going to fall in line with what the city's doing or they're not getting any more money.
But anyway, folks, if you have any questions for Richard Girard, who was running for mayor, give us a call and he'll be very
happy to
answer the question for you. But if you call to disrespect him, we will hang up. I am not going to put up with that.
Well, I appreciate that, yeah.
So, I have a question because you keep talking about I have a question. You keep, about the homeless and the, let's face it, they're a bunch of drug addicts. But this is what gets me. No, I said a bunch.
Okay.
A bunch.
Yeah, get him going a lot.
Anyway, I know they do it in Mass. I don't know if they do it up here, but it's the biggest mistake, and they continue it. You talk about trying to bail out the boat. They at the methadone clinics.
Yeah.
they prescribe them methadone.
Yep.
And what do? They're getting a 2-week supply of methadone, and what are they? They're down on the street corner selling it, trading it. I'll trade you for crack. I'll trade you for fentanyl.
Yeah, that whole methadone system needs to be
It's
looked at.
It's a joke.
It really does. I mean,
this is a chemical heroin.
yeah, it's a form of
Right,
morphine.
you
isn't
know,
it?
make them go and take it right there in front of them like they
do
used
here.
to. Never mind about prescribing.
Here they have to go to the
Oh,
clinic.
do they?
Yeah. here they
Yeah,
have to
well,
go.
as people may know, because I talk about it. I work part time at UPS loading delivery trucks. Now it used to be a great little part time
You
job.
do manual labor?
The funny thing is I have done manual labor in one way, shape, manner, or form my whole life, and I actually like it. Now, I'm no carpenter. Or plumber, that much for sure. I kind of joke, growing up on my end of town, right? If you're French Canadian, you were known for one of two things, and if you were lucky, both, right? You could sheetrock like nobody's business, build a house and all that other fun stuff. Or you could make those manicured lawns, that really green grass, right? Now I get the make it green and grow gene. I did not get the no, I did not get the other one. But so I used to do I still do it from 4 to 8. When it started a couple of years ago, it was 4 to 8 in the morning. Then COVID hit. Now it's 3 to 8 in the morning, 4 to 8:30, 2 to 8:30 in the morning. It became almost a third shift job, and I took it not because I needed the money per se, because I'm an investment advisor and I do all right with that. But I have 3 kids in college, and two in Catholic school, and not having to come up with $40,000 between insurance premiums and deductibles was a real breather for me, and that was sort of my plan to get my older 3 kids through college. Well, the point of sharing that story is there were a number of people there over my 2 years that I would pick up in the morning, and drive to work or bring home because for one reason or another they couldn't drive. Okay, you can fill in the blanks. And one of the people, a woman, I think once or twice a week, or I forget how often, but on the ride home, I would bring her to the methadone clinic at the corner of Valley and Maple Street, which was an interesting place to be. And they gave her the methadone while she was there, and I would drive her home. So I don't know that they're dispensing it, at least not from that site. And and it's interesting because you talk to these folks who've made some difficult, some bad decisions in their lives and are getting themselves into recovery, and they're really fascinating conversations, just from a human perspective. And I really, I respect, I cherish their efforts to become well, and anything that we can do to help them. I think we have sort of I'm a Catholic, so I feel sort of a moral obligation to do what I can, but that does not mean that sometimes that means tough love, and that means confronting the enablers and recognizing that you're really not being, I think, compassionate by leaving these people passed out in a doorway without taking some steps to correct it. And I think it's cruel, actually, to leave these people in that condition, in these camps, on the street, whether they, quote, want to or not. And we get back to are they in their right mind to be able to exercise their constitutional rights? There needs to be a process, I think, that families can initiate for their loved ones in these matters.
One of the things that is, how would you fight to improve? You were on the school board, right?
Oh,
how would you fight?
For a longest years of my
I'm
life.
going to turn this over to you. You can close it out.
Okay. Are we there already? No? Okay.
You got
Good.
20 minutes here.
Okay.
It'll take, you can do it in 20, But
Yeah.
you can talk, right? I mean, you're French. Come on.
Yes,
I'm Irish, so.
I'm French Canadian Catholic.
There you
What can
go.
I tell you?
But how can we're the lowest on the chart as far as education goes.
Yeah, we're awful.
How can we, besides getting rid of Lazy Craig and some of the school board people, how can we, and this, I don't even have respect for the superintendent, but so how can we improve the children's education without having to learn about sex transgenders or gay or all this other
Yeah,
stuff.
you know, we to just give everybody a little background, right? So the city conducts something called an iReady test. Okay, iReady is an assessment system, but it's also a company that produces a curriculum in math and English. And in June, the city released its iReady test scores for the kids between in grades 1 through 8. Only 15% of our kids are on grade level in math.
Wow.
And I forget the percentage, but I believe it was more than half were at least one, and 2/3, I believe, were 1 to 2 grade levels behind. So that means if you had a third grader, they were operating at a first grade level. And in English, it was only 22%. So people need to really understand the magnitude of the problem. And for, you know, people who want to blame, well, they were remote, it was COVID. If you actually take a look at the test scores, they have been doing a steady and steep decrease over time as the amount of spending, both in absolute terms and per pupil, is going up. And there are some pretty eye-opening graphs at girardformayor.com. If you go under school, go to the issues page and go see my plan for the schools, I kind of lay this all out. So people really need to understand that there is a big problem. And spending in the city, I think since 2009 on schools has gone up by inflation plus 20%.
Wow, that's
Okay?
some spending.
So it's not a money problem. So the first thing you have to do, we've been talking about addiction and everything, right? The first thing you have to do to get better is admit you have a problem.
Exactly.
And I don't see a willingness in the bureaucracy or the political establishment, including the mayor, to admit there is a problem. And to the degree they do, their solution to the problem has been things like, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and whiteness training, and passing
Pathetic.
policies
Yeah.
that allow biological girls
Pathetic.
allow
It doesn't helps no one.
allow biological boys, to play on girls' sports teams and use their bathrooms and their locker rooms. And it works the other way around, but you notice there aren't too many girls transitioning to be boys who actually want to go play on the sports teams.
That's right.
So there's not exactly an advantage to them for doing that, and this is the things that they've been occupying themselves with. And I know Manchester Proud is out there, but they're raising the money for this big leftward tilt in educational dogma that we've seen, and getting rid of leveling. All right, so the first step to correcting the system is to understand that it's broken. And then you have to ask yourself, what would it take to fix this? And to be honest with you, I don't think the current system can be fixed.
Probably can't.
No, I mean, it's not a matter of money, because you have to recognize that the landscape has changed. Let me give you a couple other statistics. 1 out of every 4 kids who could go to a Manchester public school because they live in the city of Manchester goes to a Catholic school, a charter school, another kind of private school, or is homeschooled. That's 25% of your school-age population. Parents and children have chosen to go somewhere else. So for people who think that school choice is a bad thing, well, school choice is being exercised. And now with the education freedom accounts that we have in place, that number is going to grow, and people are fooling. I love these people saying, they're only going to get $4,000. That's not enough to pay for it may not be enough to pay for 100% of it, but it's enough for a whole lot of parents to say, that's it, I'll do whatever I have to close the gap on the rest of it. So we're going to see a greater exodus out there. So you've got these independent, individual, smaller schools competing with this great big bloated, bureaucratic, union-driven system. That is a structural mismatch that is going to cause the school district to continue to bleed students and see deteriorating results. So my plan on schools is very simply this. We need to break down the central office. No more command and control from district office or the school board. Can't do it. Because I think if we trust our teachers, and we have some very good teachers in Manchester, if we trust our teachers, we trust our parents, we involve our business and nonprofit communities, our university communities, we can create options at individual schools. We can allow individual schools to use their skills, talents, and expertise to create the types of educational options that they believe will benefit students. So if we allow them to do that, right, I think we're going to see all kinds of different programs, approaches, methodologies, philosophies pop up in our 21 schools. Now, if I live near Smith Road School. So if I see that Gosler Park has got something that I think my little math-brained boy would be totally in love with, then I'm going to take my little math-brained boy and bring him over to Gosler Park. Now, in my plan, the school district will pay Gosler Park because I decided to send my little math-brained boy there. Okay? So now, think about it. We free the people in the buildings, the parents, business community, whoever, to create options. We say, build a plan, build it and they will come, right? So attract the student. So I'm going to give you an incentive and a reward and an accountability piece. It's called money follows the child. So now you survive because you created something of value in the educational marketplace, and I call it the Manchester educational marketplace. You created something of value. Parents want it. If parents want it, they send their kid. If they send their kid, the school gets money. Now, if the parent becomes unhappy for any reason and the school is unresponsive to the parent then takes their kid, sends them to another school, and guess what? The school that made the parent unhappy loses the money. So they have an incentive to provide results and be responsive to parents in ways that they are not now.
And boy, they're not.
Okay, so how I fix it, Norm, is to recognize that the system as it exists now is no longer functionally useful in modern times that are shaped by choice, that are shaped by the instantaneous availability of information. Because, the teacher is no longer the only authority when it comes to finding information, right? And if we really want personalized education, if we really want something that's going to enable, every child to find something, then we need a system that organically, using its professionals, will create those options. Because, we forget that teachers are people too. They have their skills, strengths, weaknesses, interests, passions. And if we say to them, play to your strengths and engage your passions, create something, they'll find people who will gravitate to them because of that.
But how do you respond to sort of, we'll say the teachers union, which says nope, this is the way this is what we're doing, and this is the way we're gonna do it. How do you sort of broach that dilemma?
Here's my thought on that. I'm hopeful that the teachers union will see this as an opportunity for them to showcase the talent they have in their ranks and won't stand in the way of teachers creating options.
And we do
because you're right. Because you're right. The union does strive for conformity throughout the system. Yeah. So one would hope, though, that they would recognize the changing landscape and see that it's a losing proposition to continue to go as things are still going. Now, if they decide not to, then they create a contest. There'll be a contest between the teachers who want to do something different and the union leadership that doesn't. And there will be a contest between those teachers and parents and the rest of the community who are going to scratch their heads and go, what the hell is wrong with this? And it's a fight that the teachers union, I don't believe, can win or will win, because they are now going to be standing in opposition to a system that actually provides their members with opportunities to have, true say in the development of an educational program, which is something, honestly, they don't have now.
Right,
so,
they don't have now.
So, so I hope that they'll just see the handwriting on the wall, because if they fight it, I see them losing and losing badly.
But look at them since COVID, the teachers union across the country.
Yep.
Make the kids wear masks. They need to get vaccinated.
And
who are they? It's got nothing to do with education.
Listen, I get it, and you know what? And I think everybody who has watched this unfold has been absolutely just like you. I'm like, who the hell do they think they are?
Yeah.
And I think this has been a total PR disaster for teachers unions across the country. And I I don't know whether or not they're wise to that yet, but they certainly haven't endeared themselves to the vast majority of the general public.
I find it interesting, and I give credit to the gentleman who was in charge of the after-school programs, and he resigned.
Oh, Daniel Concannon.
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit for standing up for what he believes.
Well, it took me a long time, but I finally got them to release the material, and you can find it at GirardAtLarge.com.
Oh, really?
Yes, all of that stuff. I finally
Okay.
forced them to release it, and it's
What's that? What's that again?
GirardAtLarge.com.
And you also accept donations.
I do, and you can send those to GirardForMayor.com.
We gotta we gotta make sure we get that.
Yeah.
But so we can find all that information at Girard.
Yep.
All right.
And
I
they-
want to try to get him on my show.
They also, you and me both. They also released other materials that they are using, which I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch and review yet. And once I do, because I won't release anything until I can comment on it. And if it's perfectly benign, I will say, listen, I don't have a problem with this one. I do have a problem with the stuff that I have released. That stuff is brutal, and it is. It's just racist, and there is not one kid in any Manchester school that is going to learn any better because any staff member was trained to think that they are racist because they are white, or they are racist, or their school district or their city or their country are racist because they were founded by white people.
And one of the things that breaks my heart is my dad always said, if you get in trouble at school, you get in trouble at home.
Yeah.
Did your parents the same way?
Well, my father was a president of the MEA, and he was an assistant principal and a principal. So when I was in school, you're damn right. If I got in trouble at school, my ass was in a sling at home. Yeah.
Did your parents say that?
No,
to you?
you're not
Oh,
kidding.
my
Yeah,
mother
no.
would say, even I never got along with kids. Because I'm from the poor town.
Yeah.
But
Poor town.
poor area of the town. Okay.
All
But
right.
if
Wrong
I got
side
in
of
trouble
the
at
tracks.
school, I could count on being in trouble at home.
Yep.
And me.
What we learned. Whatever happened to the old-fashioned Ruth Tinks phone? I had a teacher who used to throw chalk at me and never missed.
Mr. Horner at Parkside, the woodshop teacher, if he didn't like what you were doing or whatnot, all of a sudden, and he was a damn good shot. He had this massive keychain, and he'd chuck that like it would go an inch by your ear.
Yeah.
Oh, you stopped fooling around with whatever that sharp object you shouldn't have been playing with was. I'll tell you what, because he was silent, and he was deaf as a fence post too. So he had these big hearing aids, and Mr. Horner, man, I'll tell you, he'd crank up on that.
But you respected him, right?
Yeah, and my English teacher in 7th grade, she had this pointer. She'd walk around. She would think she was a samurai with that thing. And if you were talking, wham, it would come down on your desk. Well, the guy next to me was a little too much. She actually snapped it in half when she hit his desk. Yeah, but there was
Back
no
then, I had to sit on a wastebasket during Parents' Week, okay? Because I'd always slouching in my chair. Always. And you know what? You learned.
Yeah, you do.
You know? And then we had this one teacher. I had more respect for the teacher who were strict. You didn't move around because you'd get in trouble.
Well, I was just talking to a teacher about this probably a couple weeks ago. It was right after I released the whiteness stuff, and this teacher called me to say, no, this stuff hasn't been voluntary. We've been at our mandatory staff meetings, and we've had people from the union come in and train us on this stuff, and we were required to be there. So I get a little digging to do on that, but. I had this very conversation with that teacher, and we're talking about expectations, what to do in the classroom, and she said, the problem is now if you tell them, look, I don't care these are the expectations of the class. This is what you do with your work. This is how you're going to be graded. This is what I expect of your behavior. Now she says, when you do that, the kids go home, tell their parents that you're racist, and the parents come in and scream at you about being a racist, and the administration apparently, backs right off, doesn't support the teacher. Now, the teacher's not being racist. The teacher is taking a set of rules and saying, look, this is a classroom. This is how we behave in a classroom. This is what we're here to learn. This is how we grade your homework, how we grade your quizzes, your test. But now, because thanks to critical race theory, everything is being seen through the prism of race. And when I was dealing with this on the school board, I mean, I had a conversation with a young lady from Central, and she was black, And she was telling me what her guidance counselor told her. And her guidance counselor was like, well, maybe you should adjust your expectations. She was planning to go to college and things like that. She didn't really have the grade, and she thought it was black. I said, would it surprise you to know that my English teacher told me once upon a time that I was in over my head in his class? Would it surprise you to know that this person that I know, or that person that I know, or this person that I know had similar conversations with their guidance counselor, and they were all white? I mean, just because you're hearing something that you don't think is right doesn't mean you're being told it because they're white and you're not. Now, they could be entirely wrong, just like in my case. That and you have an opportunity to respond to that. My response was when my parents came home and told me that Mr. Duffy, my freshman year English teacher, my general semantics, they don't teach that anymore. That's advanced grammar for those of you who don't know. Said that I was in over my head and I should drop back to level 3 English. I got mad. I wanted to prove him wrong, and I aced the class.
Well, my teacher told me when I was a senior, you will never amount to anything.
Oh.
And I go, okay, because I didn't fit into their realm. And
Right.
back then, they didn't have special classes. You
Right,
know?
right.
So it took me longer to learn it, but you know what? So I saw the principal, and the other one 10 years later. I said, oh, by the way, I went to school, I have a diploma, I got my degree in nursing and all this. And then I have blonde hair, I said, how do you like me now? Oh, I don't remember you. I said, of course you don't, because I was a nobody. But see, I don't believe that when you tell somebody that they'll never amount to anything, it inspires you to prove, like with you, it inspires you to do better, or you said, I'm never going to amount to anything.
Right. As I've tried
And
to...
and the teachers deserve a lot more respect than they're getting.
They do, but I think they don't get it as much as you would hope anymore, in part because the way the union has so changed the perception, unions in general have so changed the perception of the profession. And, the same old complaints over and over and over again. And they tell their members they're not appreciated, they're undervalued, they're underpaid, they're under this, they're under that. So they...
We have to close.
Okay.
We're going to get you back on again.
I'm glad to
enjoy having you come on. Because you know what?
I talk too much. You don't have to say anything.
There you go. No, you tell it like it is.
I
You
try.
don't hide anything. Okay?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week we got...
GerardForMayor.com. That's what
There
you
you
have
go.
next week.
we got Elizabeth Morrow coming on. Morrow?
Moreau.
Morrow.
Yeah,
She's
Elizabeth
running
Moreau.
for Alderman at Large.
Alderman at Large.
And I met another young man. His name is Andrew Harris. He's running for Alderman at Large.
Okay.
He's a Democrat. I said, that's interesting. So he'll come on before her, then I'll have that on. That way,
Yep.
And then we got Will Haselton and all these other people. I got some Mormons coming on. What a bunch of respectful men, and they were on here. I don't. They were respectful. I was respectful.
I don't quite understand the general thought in the Christian world about Mormons being bad. I mean, they tell me that Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
And everybody else, we'll see you all next week. And remember, every day, like Girard, you are a winner.